All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Moore County Schools Board of Education regular business meeting for Monday, March 10th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Is there a motion to go into closed session for the purposes as stated on the agenda?
So moved.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Ms. Davis and Ms. Bruno and a second by Dr. Dahl. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now go into closed session. Good evening, everyone. We're returning from closed session. Is there a motion to come out of closed session and into open session?
So moved.
Is there a second? All right. Motion by Ms. Davis, second by Ms. Bruno. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. We're now in open session. I want to welcome everyone tonight to our Board of Education meeting. It's great to have you here. And let's come to our call to order. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? All right, thank you. Is there a second? Second. All right. Thank you for Mr. Benway motion and second by Ms. Davis. There's a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. All right, motion carries. At this time, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance and Inspiration, and Principal Phillips, will you please introduce our guest?
Good evening, Board. Dr. LaClaire, thank you for having us here tonight. I would like to introduce our Air Force JROTC Cadet Technical Sergeant, Nikayla Gavrilis, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Nakari McIntosh, who will come up and give us an inspirational moment.
Thank you. Everyone please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nakari Keon McIntosh, and I will be taking this moment out to talk about inspiration. But before I do, I would like to give a thanks to my principal, Ms. Phillips, for giving me this opportunity in Pinecrest. My name is Nakari McIntosh, and I want to say that I was born into the world medically challenged. When I realized what my situation was, I was fortunate to have praying parents and praying grandparents. I am inspired by the many times God has brought me through, knowing my situation in my life, where all my help comes from embracing every moment of life. And before I leave, I want to say, the moment that you can't lose is the moment you can't lose is the moment for you to win, and never give up. And thank you.
Ms. Davis, if you'll lead us in a moment of silence.
I will. And this evening, if you guys will join me in the moment of silence, we'd also like to take this time to remember the family of Larry Upchurch. He served Moore County Schools for 40 years. We also have Miss Gracie Peoples. She was a graduate of 2023 who passed away recently with lifetime heart issues. So just keep their families in your thoughts, prayers, and join us in this moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're at item 3, recognitions, and I'd like to invite Mr. Batchelor to the podium.
Thank you, Chair Calcutt. First, if we could have Nikayla and Nakari please join Board Chair Calcutt and Board Member Bruno at the front. We'd like to present you with a certificate of appreciation. So as a token of appreciation, we are presenting these students with certificates for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and for providing a wonderful inspiration to us all this evening. And while they're shaking hands, I'd like to note we have a lot of recognitions tonight, so if everyone would please just stay to the end so we don't have a lot of commotion moving parts in and out. Thank you, guys. All right, first, Ben and Danielle from Pinecrest High School, please join Board Chair Calcutt and Board Member Bruno at the front. Ben Denton is this month's Engage Aspires to Succeed Certified Staff Honoree for Pinecrest High School. Mr. Denton is a pillar of support for Pinecrest students. His dynamic lessons ignite enthusiasm, and his dedication extends far beyond the classroom. As the advisor for student government and speech and debate, as well as the lead organizer for prom and junior ball, he shapes leaders and creates lasting memories. A valued mentor, he tirelessly champions students' futures, writing countless college recommendations, and Pinecrest is incredibly fortunate to have Mr. Denton's inspiring presence. Danielle Harwell is this month's Engage Aspires to Succeed Support Staff Honoree for Pinecrest High School. Efficient and patient, Danielle manages daily parent calls regarding absences and bus issues. She keeps the staff informed of student statuses, maintaining a calm presence amid the school's daily bustle. Danielle's steady demeanor ensures smooth communication and accurate record keeping, both vital for student safety and school operations. Additionally, she continuously seeks ways to improve the process and procedures associated with our office for the betterment of our school. Would family members and Principal Phillips please stand as we recognize tonight's honorees? And Kristen and Linda from Southern Middle School, please join Board Chair Calcutt and Board Member Bruno at the front. Kristen Bell is this month's Engage Aspires to Succeed Certified Staff Honoree for Southern Middle School. Sixth grade social studies teacher, Mrs. Bell, though only in her second year of teaching, has embraced the coaching and support she has received and is already blossoming into an outstanding educator. She maintains absolute command of her classroom and is a quiet leader among her peers. She sees the big picture and supports school-level goals with her keen insight. Her commitment to doing what is right and what makes sense is why she is so respected by the other leaders in the building. Linda Phillips is this month's Engage Aspires to Succeed Support Staff Honoree for Southern Middle School. Ms. Phillips joined Southern Middle this year to support the multi-classroom lead teachers, and she has been nothing short of fantastic. She seamlessly steps into any classroom, maintaining a strong learning environment and supporting the curriculum as needed. She has earned the respect of not only her students, but also every teacher. Southern Middle is very fortunate to have Ms. Phillips on the team. Would family members and Principal Krasicki please stand as we recognize tonight's honorees? Dawn and Sharon from Southern Pines Elementary School, please join Board Chair Calcutt and Board Member Bruno at the front. Dawn Kazier is this month's Engage Aspires to Succeed Certified Staff Honoree for Southern Pines Elementary School. Ms. Kazier, a fifth grade teacher at Southern Pines Elementary, exemplifies hard work and dedication. She is compassionate and thoughtful, always striving to ensure her students' success. She genuinely cares for all students, meeting them where they are academically, socially, and emotionally, regardless of their background. Through the strong relationships she has built, students gain confidence in their abilities and are willing to explore and engage in activities that are unfamiliar or outside their comfort zone. Ms. Kazier is a valuable member of the Southern Pines Elementary team. Sharon Cole is this month's Engage Aspires to Succeed Support Staff Honoree for Southern Pines Elementary School. Ms. Cole exhibits exceptional leadership qualities and collaborates seamlessly within our team. As our bookkeeper, she manages school finances with care and keeps us all on track. She is meticulous, reliable, and has an extraordinary attention to detail. Beyond handling finances, she goes above and beyond as a member of our celebration team, assisting and recognizing students weekly for demonstrating positive behavior. We greatly appreciate her diligent work ethic and positive attitude. Thank you, Ms. Cole, for all you do for the staff and students at Southern Pines Elementary. With family members and Principal Dr. Pratt, please stand as we recognize tonight's honorees. Anaya McGregor is please join Board Chair Calcutt and Board Member Bruno at the front. Anaya McGregor is this month's Engage Aspires to Succeed student honoree. Anaya, as captain of the Pinecrest women's basketball team, leads with determination, teamwork, and sportsmanship, inspiring her teammates both on and off the court. Her leadership is most evident through her actions. Despite her quiet and humble demeanor, she consistently demonstrates a strong work ethic in the classroom while balancing the demands of athletics. Her dedication to the team is matched by her commitment to mentoring young players and fostering a supportive, inclusive environment. Anaya's leadership, discipline, and positive attitude make her an exceptional role model. She truly embodies the qualities of a well-rounded student athlete. With family members and Principal Phillips, please stand as we recognize tonight's honoree. And tonight we have a few additional recognitions. Would Colby from Southern Middle School please join Board Chair Calcutt and Board Member Bruno at the front. Colby, an 8th grader from Southern Middle School, won the district spelling bee on February 6 after an intense 32-round competition. He secured the championship by correctly spelling Swainsona and followed by ringlets. His dedication, perseverance, and exceptional spelling skills earned him the opportunity to represent our district at the regional competition that was held yesterday at the Bank of America Stadium. Colby's hard work and determination set him apart, and we are proud to celebrate his achievement as our 2025 District Spelling Bee champion. Congratulations. I'd like to call up our 3 individual state wrestling champions. And you all will just stay up here for a little bit, if that's all right. Union Pines High School made history at the 2025 NCHSAA State Individual Wrestling Championship as 3 wrestlers earned state titles in a single tournament for the first time in program history. Senior Brock Sullivan secured his 2nd consecutive state championship by pinning his opponent in the 190-pound final. Junior Dominic Blue, overcoming past runner-up finishes, dominated his 175-pound match with a decisive 13-3 major decision. Sophomore Liam Miles, an unexpected contender, stunned the competition with a second-period pin to claim the 106-pound title. Their dedication and perseverance have cemented their place in Union Pines wrestling history. Would family members and Principal McCormick please stand as we congratulate these folks on their championship. Now I'd like to invite the rest of the wrestlers to come on up. Coach. So as they get ready for a photo, I'm going to start reading because we're recognizing them for two separate championships. So first, on February 8th, the Union Pines High School wrestling team clinched their first NCHSAA 3A dual team state championship. After finishing as the state runner-up for the past 3 years, the Vikings demonstrated remarkable resilience, dominating in the final with a 47-17 victory over Pisgah. This historic achievement is a testament to the relentless hard work, unwavering dedication, and spirited teamwork of the wrestlers and their coaches. Congratulations to the entire team for securing a well-deserved place in both Union Pines and North Carolina's history books. One more. So, following the dual team state championship, 11 wrestlers went on to compete in the individual wrestling tournament, leading the Union Pines wrestling team to secure back-to-back state tournament championships on February 24th. The team surpassed last year's winning margin of 44.5 points by scoring 134 points compared to runner-up Dudley's 82 points. The state tournament competitors were Dominic Blue, Keaton Crawford, Jacob De La Torre, Joe Lloyd, Liam Miles, Thomas Salinas, Chris Schroth, Brock Sullivan, Trip Sullivan, Evan Thompson, and Dantrell Williams, all led by Coach Brian Gray. With 6 underclass wrestlers in that group, the team eagerly anticipates continued success on the mat in the future. Congratulations, Vikings. Now, we have one more recognition after this. One more. At this time, I would like to invite up our Area 3 volunteers for their recognition. So if you're a volunteer at any school, please come on up so we can recognize you tonight. Are you doing it now? Before we begin presenting our awards, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the history of the Eileen Van Sant Volunteer Award, which honors a legacy of selfless dedication to the children of our schools. Eileen Van Sant began her career as an educator in a one-room schoolhouse teaching grades 1 through 8. She devoted over 40 years to education before retiring to Southern Pines in 1995. Even in retirement, her passion for service never wavered. At the age of 81, she began volunteering at Southern Pines Elementary, demonstrating her steadfast commitment to education. In 2003, she was recognized with the North Carolina Governor's Award. And following her passing in 2004, our then volunteer coordinator, Linda Hubbard, established this award in her honor. Today, we are privileged to have a special guest with us, with Mrs. Van Sant's son, Russ, also known as Buzz Van Sant. Please stand. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate it. So Moore County Schools is incredibly fortunate to have a strong and dedicated volunteer community. While you support our schools in many ways, perhaps the most meaningful role you play is serving as an example of servant leadership to our students. Your contribution enrich our schools, and we sincerely appreciate the time, talents, and energy you so generously give. Now, as we celebrate the 22nd annual recognition of Eileen Van Sant's legacy, we are honored to present this year's Area 3 Award recipients. From Aberdeen Elementary School, Sheila Willis. You have to raise your hands, maybe. Help us out. From Connect Academy, Sarah Karen. From Pinecrest High School, Maggie Bonecutter. From Pinehurst Elementary School, Carrie Foster. From Southern Middle School, Linda Russell. From Southern Pines Elementary School, Laura Knuff. From West End Elementary School, the Kiwanis Club of Seven Lakes. West Pine Elementary School, Amanda Robbins. And from West Pine Middle School, Jenny Sutton. Would family members and principals please stand as we recognize our Area 3 volunteers.
Thank you.
And that concludes the recognition portion. I will turn it back over to Board Chair Calcutt.
Congratulations to everyone, and at this time we'll take a short recess. I'd like to call the Board of Education meeting back into session. At this time, we're at item 4, consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
All right. Motion to approve the consent agenda by Ms. Davis. Do we have a second? Seconded by Dr. Dahl. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so it carries 6-1. All right, we're at the public address to the board. At this time, we have one speaker signed up. Ms. Davis, would you call those speakers to the podium?
Yeah, John Miziak. And a 3-minute timer will be put on for you, Mr. Miziak.
I'm John Miziak. Board, last year, Board of Commissioners forced you to budget the use of about $3 million, I believe it was, of accumulated surplus to balance your current year's school budget. I believe that surplus has again been returned to approximately last year's level, probably due to the district's inability to fill budgeted positions, whether they be teachers or resource officers, other support positions. I'm going to guess the commissioners will again force the same practice for this upcoming budget year. I know you have a scheduled joint meeting with commissioners on Wednesday this week. During that meeting, given that there might be changes in the federal education department and potential funding implications from that, I'm hoping you'll extract a guarantee from the commissioners that they will provide funds to protect your funding shortfalls to the Moore County School District that might result from federal actions. Per reporting in the Sand Hills Sentinel, public schools in Moore County, I assume including public charters, get almost $20 million a year in federal funding. I'd also like to make one other recommendation. That recommendation is that school districts across North Carolina lobby the state legislature to allow each district to have their own taxing authority, just as is the case in many other states in the U.S. I can see no reason that only 5 individuals, our county commissioners, in this county get to determine how public schools will be funded. All the district voters should get a say in school funding decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We're at item 6, reports, information, and discussion. And at this time, we'll have a report on the advanced teaching roles as a review.
Actually,
Oh, sorry?
Dr.
Am I missed up?
Dr. Calca, that's after board action.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. All right, let me catch up. All right, we're at item 6, board action. At this time, we have 4 topics for board action, and Dr. Locklear, I'd like to hand it over to you for a brief summary of the first topic.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate the board's engagement on Monday as we went through these topics and shared information. The first item is endorsement to gather public comment for the 26-27 school calendar. As directed by the board, brought 2 calendars, one that follows North Carolina law, one that we call early start calendar, which doesn't currently follow the law, but there is legislation in General Assembly that potentially may change that. So this is to post this out for input from the public beginning on March 17th. Thank you, Ms. Sana. So it does come with my recommendation, and certainly happy to answer any additional questions the board may have.
Okay, with that being said, is there a motion that the school board consider an endorsement of the placement of the calendars for the 2026-2027 school year on the Moore County Schools website for public comment and feedback from March 17th through the 28th, 2025? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Benway made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any discussion? All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
7. Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Sana.
All right.
Next item is our second reading of new and revised policies. Madam Chair, this does come with a recommendation from committee, so it doesn't require a second.
Okay.
We discussed some questions on Monday and myself, and also Policy Chair, Ms. Davis. I'm sure we could respond to any additional questions that the board may have, but it does come with my recommendation to approve.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, let's vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes 6-1. Oh, sorry.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Item C.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the third item here. Item C is approval of the purchase of Centegic's safety platform. We did review in detail this safety platform with the board. I am pleased to be bringing this recommendation to you for approval of this safety platform that will take our systems and processes of safety and security up an additional level. So again, excited to bring this forward to you. Mike, if you do a very brief, just overview summary of what was presented on Monday, I would appreciate it.
Certainly, very brief. Yeah, we have investigated options. This is a fully integrated emergency alerting, visitor check-in, tracking, and unification management program, a full platform, and it offers a fully mature, functional, integrated platform. We looked for successful deployments. This company is across the country, mainly Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, and a little bit moving into North Carolina. Been around since about 2017. We've did a full background check on them, as we noted last week when we talked about it. Been tremendously successful. I do know that they had one challenge in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, but Mr. Eklund was able, they made us aware of that. That was a number of years ago with a different technology than they have in place. And Mr. Eklund did a full review of that, feels very comfortable with this particular product. It came from endorsement from all the background we did, as well as from our county emergency team as well, fully endorses this as the gold standard.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there a motion that the school board consider and approve the purchase of the Centegic safety platform? Is there a motion? Motion by Ms. Davis. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Dahl. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
So, Doctors Metcalf or whoever. So what's the, this is replacing a couple systems, as we went over in the work session. It's replacing a couple systems and it's adding significant new enhancements, right? But there's a net increase in cost. What is that net increase in cost annually, roughly?
Bear with you just a moment. The total 5-year investment is $1,150,920. The 5-year savings from our current Raptor and Active Defender contracts, which would be what we would be replacing, is $188,540. The cost schedule in the first year, there are two payments, one of $175,260, a second of $175,260, and then it's year 2, 3, 4, and 5 is $200,100 each of those years. For the total of $1,150,920.
1 million. I'm sorry, 1.5 million or 1 million.
$1,150,920.
1,150,000, and then at 200, so it's 1,900,000.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Hold on just a second. I was doing some math.
Okay.
So the delta, this isn't the math I was doing, but the delta is about $200,000 a year, correct?
Yes.
Increase. Okay. And where's that fund coming from? Where's that money coming from, Dr. Locklear?
Fund 8, which is our restricted revenue we've accrued over time.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And one observation I made during, actually I think it was during the 2x2s, is it sounds like a large number, but if you divide it out by the number of facilities we have, and monthly it's $150 or something, $200 per facility per month. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? All right, motion carries 7. All right, thank you very much. And we're at item D.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The last item for board action is the endorsement of the Moore County Schools Innovative High School name, mascot, school colors, and the calendar for next year for the Innovative High School. We were pleased to have Ms. Coney with us last week. Dr. Metcalf, who went over this information. These do come with my recommendation for approval, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Metcalf for a couple brief summary comments, and I believe then Ms. Saccone is then going to hammer home the recommendation.
Bring home the ask.
That's right.
Exactly correct. Thank you, Dr. Locklear. Yes, wanted to respond to a couple of the questions that board members had from the work session, just to provide a little bit of background so that we're all on the same page. I'll remind the board that this is a school choice, and it is going to look very different than our 3 comprehensive high schools. We're focusing on students who may graduate in high school but not meeting the qualifications to take community college courses that can lead to those workforce certifications and credentials. So we're looking to support students to capture their full potential and reach higher paying jobs that we need in Moore County schools. As we talked about at the work session, we know there are about 14% of our students who do great. They graduate, they go directly into the workforce, but they do not necessarily qualify for the additional training that they would get at the college to be able to prepare themselves for these higher paying, higher level jobs within our own community that we need. So what we're doing is we are front-loading our Moore County Schools courses into their freshman and sophomore year. The vast majority of the courses that they would take would be as freshmen and sophomore. Ms. Saccone kind of laid that out, what that looks like over a 2-year period. That's what we mean by advancement. We're going to get them into their community college courses in their junior and senior and possible 5th year. And we're doing that, providing them a lot more personalized support, giving them real-world opportunities, giving them a focus on entrepreneurism, but really working off of those skills and getting them the support to be able to achieve at that level so that they can get into those college courses and move on from there. I know there were some questions about the proposed calendar, particularly the early release on Friday, and I think, Dr. Dahl, you had asked what other school districts around the state had similar programs or early college programs, what they were using those early release days for. And I think it allows benefits for both teachers and for students. For teachers, remember that we will have this first year, I think, 4 teachers, and when we're fully operational, 4 Moore County Schools teachers. When we're fully operational, we'll have 8. So a teacher who's teaching English is not just teaching English 1, they also will be teaching English 1, and English 2, and English 3, and English 4. They have that full breadth of responsibility. So one of the benefits certainly is that allows them planning time to do that. Also, because they're so small, it provides them that opportunity to have professional learning teams. You can't do it in a small school because you don't have grade levels that have a planning period at the same time, if that makes sense. And when you're talking about wraparound support, which is what we're needing to provide these students to achieve, we need time for those teachers to have the opportunity to talk about those students, to identify what their needs may be, and plan together to be able to do that. We also, I know Mr. Benway has talked before with us. He's been a part of our team that's been doing some of the planning, and the problem-based learning is critical to the work that we're going to be doing here. That requires cross-curricular planning. That doesn't happen just in one class. That's a program that happens across the board throughout the school. They're going to need to plan together, and they need that time. Not only do they need to plan with the teachers, the Moore County Schools teachers, but they also, trying to be different, trying to engage it, trying to take it to that next level. It also means that there's some problem-based learning training and interaction that happens with the college instructors and professors as well. So I think there's some real benefit for the teachers. For the students, I think there's some benefits too. Certainly, it provides time where we could bring some of those students in for some additional support if they need it. It does provide that opportunity, as we talked about last week, for internships and career exploration and work-based learning, jobs shadowing, the entrepreneurism piece. And I would also point this out. We're kind of already doing it. This is a school of choice, but we're already doing it. We have 84 students in our blend ed program that come in 2 days a week. We have 30, 35 in our blend ed program 6 through 12, which come in for portion day. I think we had 2,000 students last year, if I remember correctly, that got credentials and took classes at the community college. They're doing alternate schedules to make that happen. My own daughter, it's been a long time now, but my own daughter took a lot of community college classes through the program from her comprehensive high school. I remember wondering what was going on when I was getting up at 6 a.m. to go to work or 5 a.m. to go to work, and she could sleep into 10 on Tuesdays and Thursdays because her first class didn't begin to that. And on Friday, she was leaving high school early because she could, because her high school courses ended. The one class that she had at Union Pines ended early. So we're already doing much of that already. And again, a reminder, as we talked about, the college currently doesn't offer classes on Friday. One of the benefits of this school being on the campus is it allows even more flexibility. In many cases, in their junior and senior and possibly fifth year, although they'll take some seminar classes and some other things, we're not just giving them over to the college. It is a home base for them on that campus. And so I think there will be some movement going around. So there are some benefits for both the students and for, I think, the teaching staff when it comes to the early release Fridays that we talked about last week. And I will turn it over to Ms. Saccone to talk about the ask.
Okay. Good evening. Thanks for having us today. I do come to you today to ask you to formalize our school name, More Innovative High School. As I shared last week, I think that's what everyone's calling it anyway. So I think it's time just to make it official and take off working title, which will be lovely for everybody. We are asking to be the home of the Red Wolves, as I shared with you all last week. We really are trying to connect to our local community and recognizing that Red Wolves are native only to North Carolina, and that they are shy and elusive but top predators, much how I expect my students to be. We are requesting the colors of red and white because they do align to Sand Hills Community College, and also because we don't have a high school that's red and white in Moore County schools. And then finally, I do request that you endorse our school calendar because it does meet the requirements of the state calendar law. Okay.
And Madam Chair, again, this does come with my recommendation.
Okay. Are we ready? Okay. All right. Is there a motion to endorse the name, mascot, school colors, and approve the calendar for the More Innovative High School, working title, for 2025-2026? Is there a motion? All right. Motion by Mr. Benway. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any discussion? Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. My first question is, and thank you for pulling up the school calendar. Dr. Metcalf knows me well. Please explain these early releases on Friday. Please explain the purpose of them and the mechanics of them. What time are they? What time is the early release, and what time would the students normally get out of school?
Students would come on Fridays from 9 to 12. They would typically be released at 4 on a regular school day. So they'd come from Monday to Thursday from 9 to 4, and on the early release would be 9 to 12.
Okay, and then how does that impact the number of hours of instruction?
The instructional hours are 1,034 at this time, as calculated.
Right, so what do the rest of our high school students get with their regular calendar?
The law requires 1,025.
Right, you're right. That's not what I asked, though. I mean, all due respect, what do our other high schools get in their calendar?
Ms. Sina may be able to answer that.
Yeah, we had, for this year's calendar, we had 1,060 hours.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then the other question I had is the what's the average age of ninth graders when they come into ninth grade?
They're 14.
They're 14. Okay, and what's the purpose of the early release? We talked a bit about this at the work session. The stated purpose of the early release was, the stated purpose was for job shadowing.
That's certainly a purpose of it, is to allow time for that, for job
Okay.
shadowing internships, for students to go to work. We talked about that as well, that we do have a lot of students that do work. So there's an opportunity for that, as well as the ability for teachers to actually have time to come and plan, which is an expectation in our district.
So, setting the faculty planning aside for a minute, the other high school teachers manage to plan. They have planning sessions, even though they go to school 160 hours a semester. But here's my question for you. Ninth graders who are 14, what exactly internships and job shadowing are they going to do when they're 14 and 15 and they're freshmen and sophomores?
I think that would be dependent on the industries that are willing to host them.
I don't think any industry is going to host a 14 or 15-year-old in job shadowing. I think that's generally against federal law, child labor laws.
I think with job shadowing, we're not specifically talking about job shadowing in the sense that they're working for them. It is interaction in businesses where they learn what the different businesses are. We have middle school students who do that.
Okay, so we anticipate 270 students. Well, okay, 90 the first year,
70.
70 the first year, ninth graders to have internships / job shadowing on Friday afternoons.
I think it's just one of the options for those students. Again,
Right, so
I
what
mean,
are the
as
other
I was-
options? Yeah,
I think there are a lot of benefits for the students, and that's what I was trying to describe at the beginning.
Right.
And we have students who are doing it now. I'm just being honest, but there's a lot of benefits for those students. One of them, for example, is it does provide opportunity to work with a student who needs additional support, additional wraparound support is a benefit for the students.
Except the faculty is going to all be in training and job enrichment stuff.
Scheduled and worked with. I mean, I think you have to look at this as being very flexible, Mr. Hensley. And as I said, there's value on both sides of it. I think there is some value for the students. And frankly, the conversations that we've been having with our parent meetings have been very positive about the potential for the early Fridays. There's also great value for the teachers. And if we're going to grow to do some things differently, we're going to need those opportunities and time to be able to do it.
Yeah, as we discussed in the work session, my concern is we're developing this innovative school, a school of excellence, or however you want to say it, and we're reducing the instructional hours. Dr. Metcalf, you said it for the second time. We're sort of still doing it, right? And you said it for a second time just now. Well, the first time that you said we're sort of still doing it, as an anecdote, you used one of your children and talked about how, I think it was a female, about how she slept till 10 on Tuesdays and got early release on Friday. I don't see those as virtue to education. I mean, it's not, wow, I got to sleep till 10. It should be, what do you mean you got to sleep till 10? Why weren't you at school at 8 a.m. learning, right?
She had the wonderful opportunity of taking a variety of college classes, which led her to be able to graduate with her bachelor's degree in 2.5 years and a master's in 4.5 years.
Yeah, but what did that have to do with
at much less cost to me, and some of that value was learning how to be a college student and learning how to conduct herself, and I saw great value in it as a parent. That flexibility. So my comments about Erin was not that she was taking advantage of the system or that I, as a parent, thought that was a negative. I quite honestly felt like it was a positive because she became an adult during that time. She had to manage herself and her time and had wider opportunities on those days.
Yeah, I actually have had big questions about how we manage our high school anyway, because I know when my girls were going to Pinecrest, some of their friends had one class, or two classes. For an entire year, they had 2 classes, and they were at our house 5 hours a day instead of in school. So I'm just very reluctant to approve a plan that is based upon fewer instructional hours. Anyway, that's my first
Okay.
round of comments.
All right, thank you. I did want to say that there's been a lot of talk in the community. The parents are very excited. I'm very impressed with the level of work and design and creativity that's gone into this opportunity. This is life-changing for many students. I know that we've had a lot of applications. Do we have an update, like on numbers? Not yet. And I know that it's gone through a rigorous approval process. So I'm very excited about that. And I think that, you know, the opportunity for students to job shadow, to get out in the community, for them to see what we're talking about and what they're training for is going to be really effective as a way, you know, to get them engaged and get them excited about getting into the workforce. Okay? Anybody else? Mr. Benway.
May I? Just a couple of things. The name of the school is Innovative, in fact, and I think what we see here is some innovative approaches to the curriculum. Add to that fact the wraparound support you're giving the students. I don't think they lose out at all, frankly. In fact, it's kind of a neat, flexible system you've got there. I suspect there are opportunities in that early release period, too, to get with some teachers if they need as well. So I support this. I'm going to vote for it. Thank you.
Ms. Bruno? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can either one of you tell me, will your school be under the same policies that Moore County School has, or will you develop your own policies?
We will follow the same policies.
Okay, that's all I wanted. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, Ms. Ciccone, you had left before I commented at the work session. Thank you for the wonderful job that you have done bringing this to life, you know, filling in the details, bringing it from idea to reality. Not to downplay all the other work that's gone into it, but you're really the one breathing life into it, and it's so exciting. So thank you.
Ms. Davis?
Yeah, I just wanted to also thank Dr. Metcalf for his work for over the past 2 years. He's put in a lot of work, and Ms. Ciccone he's just passed the ball along, and it's kept right on bouncing at full speed. As far as the early release, the only question I do have with a few hours for like makeup time for snow days and things, that would be my only hesitation. But even as far as the way I see it, these children they're going to work harder the next 4 years than they ever would have if they had stayed in a traditional school. And even if they don't job shadow, they deserve the afternoon off, in my opinion, despite what they do in their free time. But if you do want to speak to how we're going to work in for snow days.
I think we'd have to make that time up if we ran out of those hours, just like we would do at any of our other schools.
Okay.
So we'd have to follow that same plan.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
I just had one comment, if I can.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Okay. Just wanted to kind of say thank you, along with the rest of my board members. I wanted to briefly just kind of underline what Dr. Metcalf was saying about the high school experience. Having just graduated a high schooler out of Pinecrest and having one currently at Pinecrest, I can tell you as a father, it does take some getting used to the new high school model. It took me a little bit of time to adjust to that. But I would reiterate what he said, that I believe it's a positive for students, that they're managing their own time. They're having to make more decisions for themselves and be more responsible for their time and their energies. So I did want to underline that. I also want to underline, thank you, Ashley, Ms. Ciccone, for your work. And I've also got personal experience with Ms. Ciccone. As a parent, all my daughters went through Pinehurst Elementary, and I can tell you that she will hold those kids accountable and those families accountable for that time. So I want to say that. And finally, I just want to give some grace on the innovation of the high school, because as we get into it, I'm positive there will be things that we would do differently 2 years from now. And so I'm sure as you get into the model, you will experience some changes, and I would say it's almost guaranteed in a model like this that you'll have changes to make in midstream, but that's all part of the iteration process. So that's all I had. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Hensley?
Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so a couple follow-up questions, then my observations on this whole thing. So first of all, a comment in response to what Chair Calcutt said. You did not have an update. Chair Calcutt said we've received a lot of applications, and you mentioned that there wasn't an update. What was the number of applications we'd received last week?
The last number this weekend was around 27. I don't have that number exactly, but that's for private school and homeschool and charter school applications that are coming directly to me. We will pick up all of the other applications within Moore County Schools on Thursday, so they're actually due on Wednesday afternoon. So I'm expecting, based on the feedback that I'm getting from our principals, quite a few applications. In fact, I suspect we'll have more than enough students for consideration.
Okay, that wasn't clear. Thank you for clarifying. That wasn't clear last week, because last week you mentioned that you'd visited all the middle schools and stuff, and you'd gotten like 20 applications, but I wasn't aware that didn't include our public school, our traditional
Yes.
public school.
Yes.
Okay. Another observation, then I'll get down to just kind of my big 50,000 view things is I do find it ironic. So I have conceptual problems with this, right? And I've been very consistent, but the problems just kind of keep adding up, and it all comes back to the fundamental problem about this is a decision to do this, the decision to develop an innovative high school, to put it at Sand Hills Community College, and to earmark state funds for it. That was decided in a complete crony planning process that only involved about 5 people. It did not involve, as any good planning process should, all the stakeholders. The county commissioners at large were not consulted. The school board at large was not consulted. And the Sand Hills Community College Board of Trustees was not consulted. This entire thing came about by 4 or 5 guys getting together in the proverbial smoke-filled room and deciding they're going to do it. And they decided they were going to do it in spite of the fact that Moore County voters voted down something very similar to this about 7 years ago. An exact same concept, an advanced high school serving a limited number of students with a flare towards VOTEC being built at Sand Hills Community College. The voters rejected that. Oddly enough, a year or so later, they turned around and voted $105 million to build 3 elementary schools. But that shows the priority of the voters. So I'm not going to support cronyism, right? It was a planning process that did not include all the stakeholders, the elected officials. Your elected county commissioners were not consulted. Your elected school board was not consulted. And the appointed board at large at Sand Hills were not consulted. I find it ironic that the exact same central office who rejected out of hand several board members' requests to entertain smaller elementary schools, the same central office who made an argument against smaller community elementary schools because they weren't efficient, is all for building a 270-seat high school, right? So let's talk about the cost of building a 270-seat high school. This school district, we are 1,500 seats short. We are 1,500 seats overcrowded in our high schools. We don't need a 270-seat high school. We need a 1,500-seat high school. So let's do the math of what we're spending for this. This innovative high school, they got $25 million from the state. That's not going to build it because they have to clear the land. They got to do all this stuff. So let's say they got $40 million into it. That is $148,000 per student seat. $148,000 per student seat for this innovative high school. We have to build a 15, and in spite of that, we still have to build a 1,500-seat high school. That 1,500-seat high school, if you believe the lower number, it's $80,000 per student seat. If you believe the $150 million number, that's $100,000 per student seat. So we are literally spending 50% more per per student seat building the innovative high school than we're going to spend building the 1,500 seat high school that we really need. But the fact of the matter is we're going to build them both. And that's the problem with cronyism. You end up with these huge inefficiencies, right? So we're going to build an innovative high school at Sand Hills Community College, an area of the county that's already got congested roads, right? We're going to bus 270 students ostensibly from around the county to this school so that they can get VOTEC and they can get more attention, however it's phrased. They can get more individualized attention. They can get the college experience. They can do all this stuff. 270 students a day are going to be going from all over the county to this one location. No one stopped to think of, wouldn't it be better if we just took this $40 million and like melded it into our $150 million school and built an innovative high school in the central part of the county? And then we'd have 5 or 10 professors driving from Sand Hills Community College to an innovative high school that was integrated into our $150 million school that we have to build. This is the problem. There was no stakeholders asked to explore courses of action. So we're going to blow a tremendous amount of money building this facility. But I continue, right? So, I've already mentioned I don't believe, notwithstanding, what Miss Davis says, that these students, well, gosh, they earn Friday off. No, I think you increase academic, you do not improve education by reducing the number of educational hours. The other, and this is a big topic too. The other big conceptual problem that I have with this is, rather than improving the CTE at each of our schools, at Northmore, at Union Pines, at Pinecrest, now they're going to build like a second building as part of this innovative high school that's going to be a vocational center. By the way, I found out about all this by reading the Sand Hill Sentinel, because there was a meeting 2 Fridays ago that the board as a large wasn't notified about. I guess the chair and vice chair went. You guys represented us, but I didn't know anything about this meeting. So I'm getting this news from the Sand Hill Sentinel. But here's the big conceptual issue, right? What we really should do is improve the CTE and the VOTEC programs at all of our schools and make them all world class. Instead, we're taking a subset of students and we're telling them, look, you have to go to a community college to learn VOTEC, to do this, that, the other, and that's just simply not true. We should have the same level of VOTEC when we were all in high school. You didn't have to go to community college to graduate to be a machinist or be an automobile mechanic. You did that in high school shop, and we graduated people, our students already there. So it's almost like we're trying to convince generations of people you have to go to community college, when in reality we can and should have just done this in our existing high schools. Anyway, so needless to say, I'm not supporting this, and I would invite my fellow board members to be more skeptical. I mean, we're literally, this isn't county money, it's taxpayer money, $150,000 per student seat to build this. And by the way, that's another reason I oppose it. You could say, well, gosh, David, where'd that $40 million number come from? No one knows how much it's going to cost. We are implementing an innovative high school, and no one can tell the taxpayers of Boer County or the state of North Carolina how much this is going to cost. Nobody knows how much the building and the compound's going to cost, but here we are merrily going down this without a price tag. Nobody knows the price. We know the operational costs, but we don't know the construction costs. We don't even know if the money's going to be there. And as I said, when I voiced objection to 6 months ago, 9 months ago, I said this is a giant play to make put the county commissioners in a bad spot because everyone's going to get all excited about it. And then where's our money? Where's our money? And they're going to look at the county commissioners. And the county commissioners are going to say, what do you want, an innovative high school or Carthage Elementary?
Thank you, Mr. Hensley.
Because
That's
those
10
funds are
minutes.
competing with ours.
Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to ask one clarifying question. Do I remember correctly that the theoretical capacity of the school is 400?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you divide 40 million by 400, you get 100,000, which is exactly the same as the estimate that you gave for building another traditional school.
All right, any other discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion, let's consider a vote for an endorsement of the name, mascot, school colors, and approve the calendar for the More Innovative High School for 2025-2026. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 6-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
All right. So now we're at our board discussion. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. We are at our reports, information, and discussion. And at this time, we have a report on the advanced teaching roles as a review of the information on the implementation of this initiative. I just want to give a little background knowledge. The staff provided details, presentations on the advanced teaching roles to the previous board, in which we have 4 current members, on March 4th, 2024 and August 5th, 2024. The current board had a brief discussion last Monday following Mr. Hensley's concern about recurring funding during our work session. And then on Tuesday, March 4th, thank you, Dr. Metcalf, for emailing us with the executive summaries and presentation materials, along with a confirming answer about the continuing teacher supplements. With that in mind, Dr. Locklear, thank you for providing a brief overview tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, happy to do it per the request. Dr. Metcalf, I'm just turning it right over to you to walk through this information and this summary of where we are with our advanced teaching roles, the purpose, what general statute dictates, also the funding piece. I know you've got some summary information on all those areas.
Thank you, Dr. Locklear. I will say right out of the gate, because I know there was a lot of question about it, have been able to confirm that the salary supplements that come from the state are ongoing, and they're reoccurring and will continue unless there's legislative action taken to eliminate those funds. So those salary supplements continue as reported back to the board earlier last week. I'm going to do something with your permission, Dr. Calcutt, that I don't normally do, and that is I'm going to read the information from the executive summary that we put together, and I apologize for that, but thought it was the best way to try to get the information across to the board. The purpose of the Advanced Teaching Roles Grant is the following. Allow highly effective classroom teachers to extend their reach to more students without leaving the classroom. Recognize teacher leaders with higher compensation. Provide developing teachers with embedded, ongoing coaching and professional support. Increase the recruitment and retention of highly qualified educators to more counties. We're trying to provide more of an opportunity for growth in the field and also support new staff members that come in, new teachers with embedded support. This initiative aligns with the North Carolina's commitment to provide salary supplements and career advancement opportunities for educators who take on increased instructional responsibilities. Advanced roles definition of adult leadership, also known as the multi-classroom leader, MCL, we call them multi-classroom leaders, works in the classroom providing instruction for at least 30% of the instructional day, leads a team of between 3 and 8 teachers, shares responsibility for the performance of the students of all the teachers on the team, and is not a school administrator. And we have 2 types of programs, the full release and the partial release. Classroom excellence role is a team reach teacher, is identified as an advanced teacher, assumes and maintains responsibility for at least 20% additional students versus the number of students prior to taking the role, is a member of team of teachers led by an adult leadership teacher. The REACH associate is a teaching assistant who supports a team, REACH teacher, or multi-classroom leader, assisting with the small group instruction and student interventions, managing logistics such as grading, lesson preparation, and student monitoring. I'm just going to ask you, Charlie, make sure you kind of move it as I speak. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Batchelor. Salary supplements for teachers in advanced teaching roles. Salary supplements is funded through State Board of Education and will continue after the grant as long as the district is in good standing and the funds are available. Those supplements are $10,000 for adult leadership teachers and $3,000 for classroom excellent teachers. Teacher compensation models and advanced teaching roles. This comes from GS 115C 311. Advanced teaching roles grant. Moore County Schools grant request was approved in January of 2024. The initial request was for $500,000. The North Carolina Department of Instruction provided an additional funding to be spent, $150,000, to support an implementation plan for 24-25. The funding is spread out over a period of 4 years to allow the district to build a sustainable district model. The implementation plan follows the components outlined in GS 115C-311, criteria for hiring, training, and evaluating the model. As of 2024, there are 28 districts across the state who are participating in the ATR grant. Grant funds are awarded to local school district units and are used for any of the following: development of advanced teaching role plans, development of professional development courses for teachers in advanced teaching roles, transition costs associated with designing and implementing advanced teaching roles, employing staff members or contractors to assist with the design and implementation of the plan, development of the design and implementation of compensation plans that focus on teacher professional growth and student outcomes, and the transition costs associated with designing and implementing new compensation plans, including employing staff members or contractors to assist with the design and implementation of the plan. Grant funds cannot be utilized for teacher salaries or salary supplements. Those are salary supplements are provided through the other method through the state. GS 115-311 for the ATR grant job responsibilities that include at least one of the following: teaching an increased number of students and being accountable for their performance as the teacher of record of their students, targeted whole group instruction and small group tutoring. Scheduling depends on a full release or partial release model. Becoming a lead classroom teacher among a group of teachers and participating in EVOS according to a model developed by the Department of Public Instruction. Identifying those teachers they serve, contributing to the EVOS growth over time, leading a school-wide effort to implement data-driven instructional models that include blended learning environments, utilize digital learning and resources, and focusing on methods of improvement for school-wide performance issues. Professional learning teams, professional development opportunities, and providing in-house professional development functioning as an instructional content area coach or a coach in another professional development area following the completion of certification training, such as our Moore County Schools Way and initiatives and leaders in content and pedagogy. GS 115C-311 for the ATR grant, communication, salaries, and sustainability. Criteria and selection listed with the job postings, communicated to all administrators during the Moore County Schools leadership meetings and by the principal at each site participating. Salary supplement starts at $10,000 and increases based on the number of teachers being supported to 12 or 14. Moore County Schools can apply for the grant over one more cycle to support the implementation, consultants, professional development resources, and technology tools. But again, if we don't get the grant, or if we do and the grant comes to an end, the salary supplements continue and are paid for the state. This is budget neutral for the district. ATR in Moore County Schools. I brought Dr. Stewart, the new Dr. Stewart. Doctor just got a doctorate. Dr. Stewart with us, and she can share and answer any questions you may have. She's been very involved in this project at the school level, but wanted to give you a little background on what ATR looks like in Moore County Schools. We have a district design team that includes members from multiple departments to collaborate and design the district implementation and monitoring of ATR. Cohort 1 is now in the process of implementing. This is their first year. We have 7 multi-classroom teachers, leaders, and 4 REACH associates. And in Cohort 2, which is in the planning process, we expect to have 5 new MLCs, multi-classroom leaders, and 1 new REACH associate. There is a blend of full release and partial release adult learners, and that really depends on the needs of the school and how the principal chooses to organize it. Each school designs their model based on performance data and the unique needs of the school. The goal is to be fully staffed and to provide job-embedded support for early career and residency licensed teachers, reduction of the reliance on public impact as we build our capacity to provide guidance, technical assistance, and onboard new schools. Our professional learning plan includes content that is aligned to the Moore County Way, is driven by the coordination of all departments, and district budget neutral, utilizing state-provided stipends, restart funds, or school-based funds to make it district budget neutral. I made it another 10 minutes. I worked hard. Did want to add one additional piece under that. Though the state pays for what they call the classroom excellence, which are for teachers, quality, strong teachers to take on more students. We currently have not used that particular model in Moore County schools. We have not used that model in Moore County schools. So we're not dividing students into another class to free up a particular teacher. We're using the Reach Associate model. And I did want to point this out to you because I know there's some question on it. We have a process in which we monitor class sizes. I meet with Kate Fall and that team on a monthly basis to look over numbers. We're often in situations where Ms. Simon and I are trying to go, where do we need to advocate to put an additional teacher because the numbers have increased to a certain point. I will say that our schools that have the ATR model, Aberdeen, Southern Pines Elementary this next year, but Aberdeen Southern Middle School, they have the lowest class sizes. They're really lower than their peers, and partly because of their restart model, partly because that's what they have focused on, trying to keep those numbers low and continue to provide that level of support in the classroom. And they're using multiple funding streams as well as the state money that comes in for the stipends to be able to do that. So I wanted to be clear on that because I know there was some question about class size. It has not impacted the class sizes at the schools that have implemented ATR. That doesn't mean that a principal in the future won't decide to use the model of the excellence teacher where they do add 5 or 6 extra students to a particular class. They may choose to use that model, but to date we have not done that. Did I miss anything, Dr. Stewart? I'm happy to try to answer any questions or ask the new doctor to do it for me.
I think I missed something. So when I initially read this and went to the session law and everything, I got the impression that I think it is the REACH, the classroom excellence teachers were taking on extra students so that the multi-classroom leaders would have some time freed up. So if they're not doing that, what defines a classroom excellent teacher? What is it about their role?
We do not have any classroom excellence teachers. We're not paying anybody to be, at this time, anybody to be a classroom excellence teacher. We do have some REACH associates that are freeing up our MCLs to be able to leave the classroom. But right now, we haven't used that particular release model.
And I realize you said that, but I got kind of lost in the terminology for the different positions.
I understand, me too.
So are you saying that we're not paying anybody any more money under the advanced teaching roles?
I'm not saying that. We are paying the $10,000 for the multi-classroom leaders. What we're not utilizing is the $3,000 that is for the thank you, help me, the classroom excellence, that $3,000, because we're not dividing students up and overloading. I hate using the word overloading, but adding more students to we're not adding those students, so we're not paying them extra for that service.
So what's the amount of raises per school? What's the total amount for cohort 1? Is it $100,000 annually for that school, or is it $100,000? What's the additional money and salaries and stipends?
So we have, this year we have 7 teachers in cohort 1, 7 teachers who are receiving that $10,000 bonus. That would be $70,000, all coming from the state.
Okay.
Question, please.
Yes, sir.
How are we prioritizing the allocation of these teachers? to the schools?
So how are we choosing the schools that we're choosing to do this with?
Yeah, what priority, or
Yeah.
if there is a priority?
Yeah, there is. I mean, first of all, we wanted to have principals that were anxious to do this and that they had that creative mind. Sean Kransicki is an example of that. Also, we wanted to go to locations that had a need. You know, the goal here is not only to create a career ladder for some teachers, it's also mainly to provide support for schools that have a lot of turnover or have some new teachers coming in. They have vacancies that we're filling. We want to provide that embedded support. So your Southerns, your Aberdeens, your Southern Pines Elementaries, those are places where you're seeing a lot of young new teachers, young in terms of experience, and we want to provide embedded support for them. We also want to keep retention. So we want teachers who are experienced and have game. We want them to not only be working with kids, we want them to stay at a Southern Middle School, to stay at an Aberdeen, to stay at a Southern Pines. And by providing them extra responsibility, it's probably even more important than the money, but the money is part of it. I can make an extra $10,000 and I can take a higher leadership role. I still spend a portion of my day working with students, which I love to do, but I also get to do some adult leadership and training and support and take responsibility for everybody that I work with, all of their scores. I have that responsibility, so it's a win-win.
Would I be correct in saying that we're assuming that this would be of special benefit to our underperforming schools?
I would say that it can be a great benefit to our underperforming schools. It's like anything. We're in the first year. One of the things that we're required to do is do some analysis. I will say that we've already done the survey. Part of what we get with the grant that we received is a survey. We've done that survey. The response from the teachers has been that they appreciate the increased support. They felt like they've gotten increased support. What we don't have yet is academic impact yet from it, and that's going to take a year, or 2 years, or 3 years to really see those kinds of trends. I would agree with you. I think that in schools where we have some of our largest challenges are often schools that we see a large turnover in staff, and anything that we can do in these turnaround schools and these difficult schools that are challenging to hold on to our best teacher or make it attractive for our best teacher to go into that work environment is a benefit to us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can word my question correctly. It's going to really take a lot of courage and, you know, to get out of the classroom, to go beyond the classroom for some teachers. Is there a way that you're recruiting people, you know, to consider this position? And then I'll let you answer that one, then I got one more.
Sure. I mean, we have a real crowd. We've set a very high bar for the teachers that we would accept into our MCL. A lot of folks who applied for it actually didn't meet our initial qualifications and didn't even go through the first of a several part interview process. The initial is with the district before they even go into a school. I probably lost track of your question, but ultimately, how are we recruiting people? I think the first part of it is getting that message out that we have these opportunities. And then what you see often is the principals doing their own recruiting, letting people know, not necessarily at their own school, because in many ways it's better to pull somebody who's exceptional in another school in rather than just go up. It works both ways. But I think the principals themselves are tapping, you know, a Tim Locklear, who's an exceptional social studies teacher, and say, Tim, I think this is something that you might be interested in, because it does keep them in the classroom and provide that career ladder.
Thank you. And it does take a lot of brain power to figure this out. I mean, this is complicated, it seems.
Dr. Stewart and I were talking about this yesterday. You know,
Yeah.
Dr. Locklear and I, many years ago, we started this process because we recognized that one of the things that was coming at our forehead, one of the challenges that was coming at us, was going to be staffing schools. And anything that we could think to do creatively to try to support a different career force, a different workforce.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago, not quite 10 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, we started having conversations about how can we approach things differently, be creative, be innovative, try to do things that are available to us because we just can't continue to do it the same way. And this is one of those ways, but it is muddy. And it is muddy because it looks different from school to school, because the titles are confusing, because it's new, because we've done things the same way for 100 years. And we're trying to shift it up and create that career ladder and give opportunities for people to stay at their school. And it is going to take time for these things to work out. We're at the very beginning stages. We have 3 schools that have done this for 9 months.
Yeah.
And planned in what amounted to, didn't even have a year's worth of planning to kind of get to where they're at now. Did it in about 3 months, I think, 4 months. So it is muddy, and we would be lying to say it any other way. And it's very hard because it's different from school to school based on what their needs are, what their principal and their team has designed.
Just one last question. Does the grant require a certain type of data analysis or effectiveness analysis, or do you get to decide how it's, whether it's working or not?
Right. We have to provide data that we upload to the state. We have to provide academic data. There's a number of other points there too. I'm not sure that answers your question, but there is a whole process that we go through, and the states and the DPI is involved with us. They're how many we're allowed to have at a particular school based on the ADM, the percentages, and so forth.
That's good.
Mr. Johnson? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm, over the phone it's a little bit more difficult. I've got 3 questions and then a comment. Would it be easier to do one question at a time?
Yes, sir. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Megler
Okay.
says
Yeah,
yes.
sorry about that. So first question I had was, it states that the grant monies can be used, I believe it's $650,000 total grant monies, and that part of those grant monies can be used in the design and implementation plan, transition costs associated with designing, implementing, and employing staff members or contractors to assist. I was just wondering who those employees that are we targeting those grant funds to any employees? Are they any of the teachers that we've been talking about? Or are they other employees that we're targeting with those grant funds? That's the first question.
We have used the grant funds, and Heather, jump in here at any point, to contract with Public Impact. That's been brought to the board, I think, twice now to get approval to do that. They're providing our professional development in helping us with the design and implementation. So that has worked with a number of different people. Mr. Johnson, our principals, receive monthly support and training and ideas, and gain an understanding of the design that they can use and how it works. We did training of our MCLs because they're experts at teaching students. They're not necessarily experts at adult learning, and so they're learning those capabilities. So that's all a part of that grant. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And I would just follow up with a comment as we go through. I think that's great that we can contract with these folks that are experts in this. And I would consider, as we get more adept at this and we have some real quality and capacity build up in the district, that we might be able to shift some of that grant funding to some of our own people, which could help further with retention recruitment. Second question I had was how the supplements kind of work. Are they given as a kind of a large bucket, and then we decide the $10,000 for the 7 teachers and the classroom excellence people, or is that kind of delineated? I'm basically trying to figure out if we have the opportunity to get stipends ongoing for teachers for this work, are we missing an opportunity in not developing that along the way?
Mr. Johnson, I'm going to try to answer your question as best I can. Working closely with finance and with NCDPI, there is a spreadsheet that we fill out that we name the people who are the adult leaders. So the teacher names and their UIDs. And then the salary differentials are brought down to the district with our grant money and given to finance. It sits there, and the Teachers, who are the adult leaders, receive their salary differential every month in their paycheck. It is the additional monies every month that includes salary, benefits, and retirement. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I was just wondering if there was a cap that the state gives us ongoing. Is there a cap that we're trying to meet, or any kind of number given to us to try and a target?
Yes. Well, they changed it, so I don't know. I don't know the actual answer
Okay.
right now.
There is a cap, though.
That's fine.
There is a cap, Mr. Johnson, based on how the grants rolled out. There is a cap of the percentage of teachers who can receive this, but you said they revised that, so we'll get that back to the board.
Okay. All right, thank you. And the last thing was the last information I saw. It said that cohort 2 had not been decided upon, but then I heard you mention Southern Pines Elementary, so I wasn't sure if we had identified the cohort 2 or.
We have. They've been
sure.
working throughout the year. The 3 schools in cohort 2 are Southern Pines Elementary, Cranes Creek Middle School, and New Century Middle School. Sand Hills Farm Life. We had talked about New Century, but when Sand Hills Farm Life. Thank you for slapping me.
Okay. All right, thank you. And that last thing, I'll just end with a comment. Robin and I were able to go out to visit all 3 of the schools that are doing the advanced teaching roles, and I just wanted to commend especially Aberdeen Elementary, Miss Kelly and Miss Skelton. They didn't know we didn't know we were going to be asking a lot of questions about it, but they showed great command over the process and the different roles, and I personally learned a lot about how they're actually being used in the building to create a local pipeline of talent within Aberdeen Elementary School, and so I'm very supportive of that. And then we visited Sean out at Southern Middle, and I just want to say that I'm really glad that we're putting extra attention and focus on developing and retaining quality staff at both Aberdeen and Southern Middle and Pinecrest. So just want to commend the principal and Ms. Skelton on their command. They didn't know we were going to come in asking a bunch of questions, but they answered them very well. And that's all I got.
So, just to clear up any misperception, I've been very clear about this. I support the advanced teaching roles. I mean, I am all for replacing a tenure-based system with a meritocracy, right? And we should have proficiency pay. I mean, I've talked about this for 4 years. I mean, if it's harder to find math and science teachers, we need to pay math and science teachers more. You know, I'm sorry if you're an English teacher, but that's just supply and demand. Same thing with performance. You know, we should pay our higher performing teachers more than our low. And it's actually very simple to measure. I mean, we give principals proficiency pay based upon how proficient their school is, and we measure that all the way down to the classroom. And, you know, it's like I've always thought it ironic that we give principals pay based upon the performance of how well their teachers do, but we don't give the teachers the same sort of bonus when they're the ones who really deliver the results, right? So I fully support this. My concern is that we're following the law and this is properly budgeted for. When you read the law, it talks, we had to submit a request for proposal. Dr. Locklear, did you send our response out to everyone?
You mean the grant?
Yeah, our response to the grant application. Did you
I don't
send
think
that out
that's
to
attached to this information, but we can.
Okay, yeah, because I sent an email out just to everyone on February 19th. I sent an email out to the superintendent and the board expressing my concerns on this. And in it, I kind of imply I would like to see a copy of our proposal for this grant, because the law that requires us to put in for this, it says right here how the school district intends to provide supplemental compensation for teachers in an advanced teaching role without grant money. So I'm really interested to know what our response was when we said what we would do if the state no longer provided grant money.
I think there's a difference between the grants and the stipends. So there's a second legislation. I think you're
No,
looking
no,
at
sir. No,
312.
sir. I'm aware of 312, and I didn't see 312 until after you pointed it out. But Charlie, if you'd pull up the attachment 311, it's attached on the bottom, please. And if you go to paragraph B10, or I'm sorry, B9. No, you're right. It's very confusing. 311's written very confusing because there's the grant to implement it, then there's the grant for salaries, right? But B9 is specifically talking about supplement of how the unit intends, if you read the second part of paragraph 9, how the unit intends to provide supplemental compensation. That's not the grant money for implementation. That's how we intend to provide supplemental compensation for teachers without any grant money. So I'm very interested to see what our response was to that. Likewise, if you could scroll up a bit, please, to paragraphs 4 and 5. And you kind of partially answered my concern here, because in my email I said how's the requirement in B4 and B5 being met. If you look at the requirement in B4, it talks about how the local school administrative unit, that's us, will inform employees and the public on criteria and selection for advanced teaching roles, the eligibility requirements for advanced teaching roles, and how the individuals selected for advanced teaching roles will be evaluated. Okay, the public. 5 continues, inform all employees and the public on the criteria for movement on the proposed new compensation model, right? So what I saw in your responses was, I saw that you had briefed principals and staff, but I don't see the public being briefed on this. In fact, many of the school board members tonight just learned about the compensation model. And if we haven't even educated school board members, we certainly haven't educated the public. So here's a twofold concern, very specific, because I don't want this misconstrued. I support the advanced teaching roles because we should pay higher performing people more. But I'm concerned that what the plan is, because if you go read 312, it actually says, and I can quote it, it actually says, it's portrayed to the school board like it's guaranteed funding, but if you actually read it and it's attached there on the agenda, it says, notwithstanding 311, which 311 just says you only get 3 years, right? But it says, notwithstanding that, so it completely negates every stuff in here. It says, to the extent funds are made available for this purpose, the State Board of Education shall award funds to local school districts. So really it says, if it doesn't say that the legislature is going to continue to fund it. It says if the legislature can fund it. So I just want to make sure that we understand what our liability is, and we had to address that in our application. So please, if you would send the application to all the members of the board and publicly attach it to the agenda, then we can all see at once what the plan is for if there's no grant money. So that's issue number 1. And then number 2 is we're paying this public impact company hundreds of thousands of dollars to implement this. I would think part of their task order would be to make sure that we're fulfilling the obligations in our application. And our obligations in our application clearly talk about educating the public. And I've not seen a lot of public education on the things spelled out in B4 and B5. So that's my concern, is that this is budgeted for, and if it stops being funded, and what's our liability? It's $100,000 per school or whatever it is. Just let us know. And then 2 is that we're complying with the law. That's my concern.
All right, thank you very much. We're at item 8, Superintendent's report. Dr. Locklear, do you have anything to report?
Nothing else to report tonight. I want to thank the board again for your engagement and work, and staff for their work bringing forward all these items. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. We're at item 9, board comments. And any volunteers to begin? Anybody? Mr. Benway?
Please. In the past week, visited Southern Middle School. Mr. Kronsecki's got a well-oiled operation going there. You can see his very deliberate process playing out, and really a good job there. Also stopped in to meet Mr. McLean over at West Pines Elementary. He got to read to the kids on Friday as part of the Read Across America Week. Looks like the next thing on the schedule is to attend the Moore County Schools Business Advisory Meeting on Thursday morning, and look forward to that. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Bruno? Okay. Dr. Dahl?
I have three things. One, first of all, congratulations to the newly minted Dr. Stewart. Where did you go? There you are. I have a little bit of an idea what goes into getting a doctorate. Second of all, it's been about 3 months since I was sworn in, and I just wanted to comment how much I've enjoyed trying to live up to this responsibility. And one of the things that's been a particular treat is getting to rub elbows with the quality of people that we have in our schools and in the central office. And I think what we've just seen about the implementation of the advanced teaching roles kind of showcases the quality of these people, the vision, the hard work, the insight, the persistence, the willingness to keep going when things get rough and bring things to fruition. And it's really a privilege to get to work with people like this. And then finally, on a more sober note, recent Northmore graduate is on my mind. I had the privilege of teaching Gracie Peoples during her too short time in this world, and I just wanted to say my deepest sympathy to her family and her fiance and her friends.
Thank you, Dr. Dahl. Mr. Hensley? Mr. Johnson? Any comments?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Davis? All right, I'll close tonight. Thank you to our board members and to our staff for the excellent meeting tonight. Congratulations again to our employees and students who were recognized tonight, and thank you to our student leaders for leading us in the pledge and for inspiring us tonight. And a few weeks ago, Vice Chair Davis and I, along with Dr. Locklear, Dr. Metcalf, Principal Ashley Saccone, attending a meeting at St. Hills Community College with Senator McInnes, Representative Neil Jackson, County Commissioner Nick Percerno, Sand Hills Community College President Dr. Sandy Stewart, Sand Hills Community College administrators, and foundation trustees. It was about the More Innovative High School, and we had an update on the planning, action steps, and a collaborative roundtable discussion. This initiative is focused on providing an unprecedented opportunity for the students who choose to attend this school. I want to thank Senator McInnes and Representative Neil Jackson for securing part of the funding for this initiative from the General Assembly. I also want to congratulate the Moore County Schools and Sand Hills Community College team that worked so diligently to use their collective knowledge to design a plan to provide such a life-changing opportunity for our students. Before I close my comments, I just want us to remember our friend and colleague, Dr. Larry Upchurch. Dr. Upchurch was a teacher and served in leadership roles at the district level. He embodied integrity, wisdom, and a deep care for students, always placing their well-being at the heart of his actions. His legacy will forever be a cornerstone of Moore County Schools, and his influence will continue to be felt for years to come. Thank you all for being here tonight. Do we have a motion to close our meeting? Second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, we're adjourned.